It was exactly 2:23 in Ouagadougou, the capital of BurkinaFaso, at Captain Ibrahim Traoré's private security center. Cybersecurity specialist adjutant Bamogo had frozen. While staring at his screen, the code sequences and encrypted messages before him revealed the most dangerous thing he had ever seen in his life, in the deepest layers of the dark web. On a secret platform, accessible only to the world's most elite assassins, a $15 million bounty had been placed on the head of BurkinaFaso's leader. This wasn't just money, this was a worldwide auction. Announcement for Traoré's death, Bamogo's hands were trembling. In his 20-year intelligence career, he had never encountered such an astronomical bounty amount. Even the $25 million placed on Osama bin Laden's head was higher than this figure. But this $15 million was an incredibly high sum for an African leader. This money was equivalent to a medium-sized company's annual revenue. And now, this money had been put on the table for the head of Africa's youngest leader. Even more terrifying was the identity of the organization offering the reward. Les Ombres, the Circle of Shadows. Bamogo had only heard this name among legends. Before, a secret organization composed of Europe's oldest families, heirs of former colonial empires, and owners of multinational corporations. A group that officially didn't exist, but pulled the strings behind world politics. And now this group saw Traoré's existence as such a great threat to themselves that they were prepared to spend this much money to eliminate him. The details on the platform were breathtaking. The bounty offer had been published just 72 hours ago, and already professional assassins from 23 different countries had shown interest. Each was a legendary name in their field. Former CIA operatives, Soviet-era Spetsnaz agents, retired assassins from Israeli Mossad, even disciplined soldiers from British SS. A worldwide army of hunters was just waiting for details to set off. For Burkina Faso, Bamogo immediately called for a high security meeting. When Traoré's security chief, Colonel Zongrana's phone rang at 4:30 in the morning, he understood the seriousness of the situation from the panic level in the man's voice. "Commander, emergency code read. Please come to the security center immediately and don't tell anyone." Zongrana had managed many crises in his 30-year military career. He was Burkina Faso's most experienced security expert. However, even he was stunned by the information Bamogo showed him. The figures on the screen couldn't be real. But technical analysis showed that the platform was genuine and the reward was seriously backed. The Circle of Shadows had the financial power to support their claims. The first urgent decision was to inform Traoré immediately. But even this wasn't easy. How do you give a leader such news, saying, "Sir, a $15 million bounty has been placed on your head and the world's most dangerous assassins are targeting you"? Wasn't an easy sentence to utter, especially when Traoré was preparing for an important African Union meeting that night. At 11 a.m. Traoré was called to an emergency meeting at the security center. The expressions on Zongrana and Bamogo's faces showed how serious the situation was. Despite being 34 years old, Traoré had experienced more crises than many older leaders, but even he paused for a moment when faced with what he saw on the screen, $15 million. This figure was almost half of Burkina Faso's annual health budget, and this money was being offered for his life. "Who has shown interest?" asked Traoré with no trace of fear in his voice, only strategic curiosity. This man was truly different. Even in the face of death threats, his first thought was analysis and developing counter-strategy. Bamogo showed the names listed on the screen. Each was a professional killer with their own specialized expertise. Ghost, a codenamed former CIA agent, expert in long-range sniper operations. Viper, an alias for a former KGB operative, master of poison use. Shadow, a codenamed Briton, legendary in infiltration and close-range attacks. Every name on the list was a professional who had signed dozens of successful operations worldwide. Even more worrying was that some names had already mobilized. Intelligence reports from Ghana showed suspicious individuals moving toward the Burkina Faso border. A tourist traveling with a French passport had entered through Ouagadougou airport just 6 hours earlier. His profile matched 87% with the assassin Senemed Lafanta on the list. Traoré's first decision was clear. "We will not change our daily routine. If we start hiding, we've already lost. But raise the security level to maximum." This decision was both encouraging and worrying for the security team. encouraging because they saw their leader wasn't covering in fear, worrying because protecting him would be much more difficult. That morning, Traoré's normal schedule included 3 important events. At 9 o'clock, a new hospital opening. At 1 o'clock, a meeting with university students. And at 6 o'clock, dinner with African Union representatives. Each event was a potential assassination point. Each event was a perfect opportunity for professional killers. Security protocols were immediately reviewed. Each event area was pre-scanned. Additional security personnel were deployed. Plain-low police mixed into crowds. Snipers were positioned at strategic points. However, everyone knew that 100% security against professional assassins was impossible. These men could manage to overcome even the tightest security measures. On the way to the hospital opening, Traoré's convoy followed a different route than normal. Last-minute route changes were aimed at preventing surprise attacks, but the security team noticed they were seeing potential danger at every corner. Was the innocent-looking photographer really a journalist or a camouflaged assassin? Could a sniper be hiding behind the laundry, hanging from the balcony? The hospital opening passed without apparent problems. Traoré greeted hundreds of citizens, took photos with hospital staff, and gave a brief speech, but security cameras had detected 3 suspicious individuals in the crowd. One had a strange device in his pocket, another was constantly following Traoré, and the third was trying to get very close under the pretense of taking photos. These 3 individuals were immediately detained after the event. Interrogations yielded interesting results. The first turned out to be a local newspaper reporter. The device in his pocket was a voice recorder. The second was a young man who wanted to be a security guard, trying to apply for a job with Traoré. But the third was very different. The man had fake identification showing he was Cameroonian, but his speech accent, body language, and technical knowledge showed he had received professional training. His fingerprints weren't in any database, meaning his identity was completely fabricated. His cell phone contained encrypted messages and GPS coordinates. This man was one of the assassins on the list. During interrogation, the man said nothing. He just smiled and uttered this sentence: "I am just the beginning. The real game hasn't started yet." This sentence triggered all alarms in the security team. If this man was just the beginning, the real danger hadn't come yet. That evening, additional security measures were taken for the African Union dinner. The restaurant was completely evacuated. All staff underwent security checks. Food materials were tested for poison. The ventilation system was inspected. Even the buildings near the restaurant were scanned. But professional assassins could attack, using the most unexpected methods. During dinner, the first suspicious situation occurred in the kitchen. One of the chefs began exhibiting strange behavior during food preparation. Security cameras showed the man trying to secretly mix something into the food. Immediate intervention was made, and the man was caught. The substance found on him was a tasteless but extremely lethal poison. This second capture, once again, showed how serious the situation was. The assassins had studied Traoré's daily routine in detail and were trying to infiltrate every stage. A sniper at the hospital opening, a poisoner at dinner. This coordinated attack was the work of a professional organization. After midnight, the third assassination attempt took place. An attempt was made to attack Traoré's private residence with a drone. The air defense system spotted the drone at the last moment and shot it down. The explosive that came out of the drone was powerful enough to demolish a small building. If it had reached its target, Traoré and everyone in the residence would have died. After this third assassination attempt, Traoré finally fully grasped the seriousness of the situation. He wasn't facing a single assassin, but a coordinated organization. This organization was ready to try every method to kill him. And most importantly, those attacks were just the beginning. The next morning, the fourth shock came. Someone in Traoré's security team was secretly leaking information. This discovery emerged during Bamugo's phone analysis. Someone in the security team was regularly reporting Traoré's daily schedule, security measures, and weak points to the outside. The internal security breach was the greatest danger. The hunt for the internal spy began. Every person in the security team was re-examined. In terms of their background, connections, and financial situation, the results were shocking. There were 3 suspicious names in the team. One had strange bank accounts abroad, Another had mysterious money transfers made to his family, and the third had expensive items purchased recently. The most suspicious was Sergeant Ibrahim Traoré's personal bodyguard. The man had been working closest to Traoré for 5 years. Complete trust was placed in him, but in the last 2 months, a total of $50,000 had been transferred to his family. This money was more than Ouedraogo's 5-year salary total. The operation to corner Ouedraogo began at midnight. When the man was interrogated, he initially denied everything. But the evidence was very clear. Phone records, bank accounts, secret meetings, everything pointed to him. Finally, the man broke down and confessed everything. "My family was threatened," he said, crying. "They threatened to kill my children. What could I do?" Ouedraogo's story was tragic but understandable. The Circle of Shadows hadn't been content with just offering money. They had also used threats. They had obtained the internal spy through intimidation. This discovery fundamentally changed security protocols. Traoré's personal security team was completely renewed. New team members underwent the strictest security checks. Their family's security was also ensured because the Circle of Shadows could apply the same tactic to others. On the 5th day, the greatest danger came. According to intelligence reports from the airport, the assassin codenamed the Executioner had landed in Vega. This name was legendary among professional assassins. In his 15-year career, he had never missed a target. He had carried out 37 successful assassinations, from world leaders to businessmen, from journalists to activists. The Executioner's specialty was invisibility. He constantly changed his identity. He could be a German businessman. Tomorrow, an American tourist. The day after, a French academic. He was skilled at changing facial features. He could change his voice, tone, walking style, even body language. Finding him was nearly impossible. But this time, there was something different. Thanks to Ouedraogo's confessions, some clues had been obtained about the Executioner's attack plans. The man would most likely study the region for a week, learn rotten, and wait for the most suitable moment. The attack time would probably be when Traoré least expected it. The security team launched a citywide search. All hotels, guest houses, and rental houses were checked. All foreign passport visitors were put under surveillance. The airport, bus terminal, and train station were placed under 24-hour surveillance. But the Executioner had probably already changed his identity. On the 6th day, a big surprise came. The Executioner made an unexpected move. He sent a direct message to Traoré. The message came to Traoré's private phone, and its content was shocking. "Dear Captain, I am the Executioner. I am here to kill you, but I want to talk first. Tomorrow, at noon, at the old marketplace, come alone, unarmed, unprotected. Otherwise, I will shoot you at your most beloved moment." This message was both a threat and an invitation. Why did the Executioner want to talk with Traoré? Was this a trap, or did he really have something to say? The security team was absolutely against Traoré accepting this invitation. But Traoré, with his characteristic courage, thought differently. He wanted to kill me. He wouldn't have sent this message," said Traoré. "He would have attacked directly. So, there's something that needs to be said, and I want to hear it." This decision drove the security team crazy, but Traoré's decision was final. The next day at noon, the old marketplace was completely evacuated. Surrounding buildings were filled with snipers. Plainclothes police were positioned at every corner. But Traoré entered the marketplace apparently alone. His heart was beating rapidly, but there was no sign of fear on his face. The Executioner was waiting in an old shop. He was a middle-aged, ordinary-looking man. He didn't look like a deadly assassin in any way. But the coldness in his eyes revealed his true identity. These were eyes that had taken dozens of lives. "Captain Traoré," the man said in a calm voice, "thank you for listening to me. I have an offer for you." Traoré sat across from the man. "I am listening. $15 million is a lot of money," said the Executioner. "But I don't do this job for money. I'm tired. Now, I want to retire. I'm proposing a deal to you. I'll kill those trying to kill you, and you leave me alone." This offer surprised Traoré. "Why do you want such a thing?" The Executioner's answer was unexpected. "Because you're different. None of my 37 targets dared to talk with me. They all tried to run away, but you came here. This courage earned my respect." The conversation between the two men was like a surreal scene. one of the world's most famous assassins, was offering peace to his target. But was this offer real or a sophisticated trap? "I know who the members of the Circle of Shadows are," said the executioner. "I can give you their names, but in return, promise me you won't question my past." This information was very valuable. Learning the members of the Circle of Shadows meant eliminating the source of the threat. But was making a deal with an assassin ethical? Traoré thought for a long time. Finally, he gave his answer. "Give me the information, but leave my country immediately and never return." The executioner smiled. "Deal." The man gave Traoré an encrypted USB stick. On this USB are all members of the Circle of Shadows, their funding sources and operational plans. Also included are the identities and locations of other assassins. This USB was worth its weight in gold. The information it contained could protect not only Traoré, but also other leaders worldwide who faced similar threats. The executioner stood up. "Good luck, Captain. And remember, some wars are won. Some are just postponed." The man left and was never seen again. Even security cameras couldn't track him. It was as if he had vanished from the earth. When the information on the USB was analyzed, the true size of the Circle of Shadows was revealed. The organization was a massive network operating in 12 countries with 67 members and an annual budget of $2 billion. Among its members were former European colonial governors, multinational corporation CEOs, retired NATO commanders, and even some active European parliamentarians. The most shocking information was the fact that the organization targeted not only Traoré, but 13 different African leaders worldwide. From Mali to Niger, from Chad to Guinea, all new generation African leaders were on this organization's target list. Traoré was just the first target. In light of this information, Traoré immediately took action. The data on the USB was transmitted through secure channels to the African Union, Interpol, and the UN Security Council. An international investigation was launched. The Circle of Shadows' financial resources were seized, and members began to be detained at the same time. Coordinated operations were organized using the locations of other assassins found on the USB. The agent code named Viper, located in Ouagadougou, was caught in his hotel. The sniper Sinamed Ghost was besieged at his camp outside the city. The British agent Sinamed Shadow was killed in a firefight while trying to be captured at the airport. Within a week, the entire assassin network targeting Traoré was dismantled. The $15 million bounty platform was shut down. The Circle of Shadows' African operations stopped. However, this victory was just the beginning. Traoré, with the lessons learned from this experience, established a new security network across Africa. This organization, called the African Leaders Protection Alliance, developed a joint defense system. Against similar threats, the information on the USB also led to major political scandals in Europe. 3 European Parliament members whose connections to the Circle of Shadows were revealed resigned. 2 multinational corporation CEOs were arrested. An investigation was opened against a former minister in France. After these events, Traoré's international prestige increased even more. He had defeated the forces trying to kill him with their own weapons. The $15 million bounty had ultimately made him stronger. 6 months later, Traoré spoke at the UN General Assembly. In his speech, he told the world about the Circle of Shadows crises, announcing how Africa's new generation of leaders were being targeted. This speech created global awareness about Africa's future. The executioner disappeared as promised. No news was ever heard about him again. Some thought he had really retired. Others believed he was operating elsewhere with a new identity. But Traoré kept his promise and didn't search for him. This story exposed the secret threats facing modern Africa. It showed how sophisticated methods former colonial powers used to sabotage Africa's independence. But it also proved how prepared new generation African leaders were against these threats. The $15 million bounty placed on Traoré's head ultimately resulted in Africa's favor. This money, instead of killing him, strengthened Africa's unity. The Circle of Shadows, instead of reaching their goal, prepared their own end. This event also served as a warning to similar secret organizations worldwide. African leaders were no longer unprotected. Behind them was a powerful alliance, advanced technology, and international support. Traoré emerged even stronger after this. experience the death threat instead of intimidating him made him more determined. The $15 million bounty had given him free publicity. Now the whole world knew Burkina Faso's young leader. This story also exposed the secret powers of the modern world. Assassination platforms on the dark web, secret organizations, professional killer networks, they were all real and all active, but they were no longer invisible. In conclusion, the assassination plot against Traoré produced exactly opposite results from what was planned. Instead of weakening him, it strengthened him. Instead of isolating him, it united Africa instead. Of frightening him, it gave courage. This event became a symbol of Africa's new era. African leaders would no longer bow to threats from the shadows. They could also create their own shadows and play their own games. The $15 million bounty story ended this way. Traoré's story continued, and this story would continue to shape the future of all Africa.